This is a Fox News special report.
From Fox News in New York, I'm Shepard Smith. This is Fox News coverage of breaking news in America at this moment. Fox News has now confirmed that the United States has launched a strike in the south of Syria. It's my understanding that this was a sort of deconfliction zone, a safe space area, and that the United States forces were on the ground. Syrian forces there as well had entered this sort of safe space area, and United States forces on the ground wanted them to leave. Warning shots fired. They did not leave. And as the story goes to us at this moment, 1:34 p.m. Eastern Time in New York, as the story goes to us, airstrikes were then called in, and coalition forces dropped ordnance of some sort on this deconfliction zone. This is not a change in policy toward the Syrian civil war, which has left hundreds of thousands dead, a murderous dictator still in charge, and after more than 7 years of civil war, hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of people dead, a refugee crisis beyond imagination, and a very tenuous set of circumstances as the Russians and the Iranians back the Syrian regime. The United States backs rebels who are fighting against it. Now where are we? Let's get straight to Jennifer Griffin, our national security correspondent live for us at the Pentagon, who broke this news for us. Jennifer, what have you learned?
Well, Shepard, senior U.S. defense officials that I've spoken to tell me, as you've mentioned, that there is no change in policy. But what is unusual about this airstrike is it is the first time that the U.S. has called in an airstrike against pro-Assad regime forces. There was an accidental targeting of those pro-Syrian, pro-regime forces in Deir ez-Zor not too long ago. And then, of course, there was that Tomahawk missile strike on Shayrat Air Base in the wake of the chemical weapons attack. But it is unusual, and it certainly was not something that was authorized under the rules of engagement during the last administration, during the Obama administration. The rules of engagement at that time were extremely tight. We have been hearing about a loosening of those rules of engagement and sending some of the authority for those airstrikes back down into the field to local commanders, and that is really what we are seeing today. We don't have all the details, but we can confirm that U.S. warplanes saw pro-Assad regime forces moving into an area known as a deconfliction zone around the town of At-Tanaf. That's spelled A-T-T-N-A-F, and it's on the border with Iraq. It's in eastern Syria. What is notable right now is that it is clear that the U.S. is concerned that those regime forces are making moves on areas where the U.S. has likely trained forces that are gearing up for a very big fight against the ISIS capital, Raqqa. We have been reporting for weeks now that they are on the verge of beginning the operation to retake Raqqa. The U.S.-backed forces, many of them, they're known as the Syrian Defense Forces. They are trained by the U.S. They're armed by the U.S. They include some Kurdish factions, Syrian Kurdish factions, as well as Arab factions. They have essentially circled Raqqa, the ISIS de facto capital, and they have made gains. They've taken the dam on the outside of Raqqa called Tabqa in recent days. And so that is an operation that we expect to begin at any time. And we also expect to hear from the Defense Secretary, Jim Mattis, and his chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Joe Dunford, General Joe Dunford, tomorrow here in the Pentagon press briefing room. And it's only the second press conference that Defense Secretary Mattis has held since he has taken up his job here at the Pentagon, and we were expecting to hear about the strategy to fight ISIS and also the way ahead in Afghanistan. So that press conference was slated for tomorrow, and certainly all eyes are on NATO and the NATO coalition as President Trump begins his journey tomorrow to the Middle East and then onward to meet with NATO allies in Rome. Shepard.
Jennifer Griffin reporting live from the Pentagon. Jennifer, thanks very much. So the headline and summation here, the United States has dropped ordnance in the southeast of Syria in response to Syrian forces coming into a deconfliction zone there. When they were warned to get out, the United States fired warning shots. When they did not leave, the United States called in airstrikes. Those airstrikes have now commenced and are now complete, it's our understanding. There is no change in policy in the United States as regards to the Syrian civil war. We're expecting notices from the Pentagon and otherwise in the moments ahead. I should tell you as well the breaking news that we've been following out of Times Square in New York City and the car crash that killed at least one person and injured an unknown number, more than a dozen at least. There were concerns early, of course, any time when you're at the crossroads of the world. But I heard from a police source an hour ago or more that there was a belief that this was maybe an alcohol-related crash, that there was no terror relation here, that the suspect is in custody and being questioned. And now the police have confirmed all of that is true. No terror strike in Times Square. A horrible event, of course, believed to be possibly alcohol-related, but no terror, not in Times Square, not today. Continuing coverage of that story on Fox News Channel on satellite and cable right now. Much more on this local Fox station as time permits. I'm Shepard Smith, Fox News, New York. And now back to...
This has been a Fox News Special Report.